Bob Ryan is synonymous with Boston, the city he has made home for over 6 decades. But it's the road games that we're talking about today. Our columnist emeritus has now covered or attended sporting events in all 50 states. Bob, let's start at the beginning. Where did the love of sports, your love of sports, come from?
But first, don't forget D.C. and Puerto Rico.
D.C. and Puerto Rico?
They're both involved in this.
Oh,
now, okay.
Okay, so now we're in for a story. Let me buckle up.
I was born to a man named William Ryan, Bill Ryan. And if you grew up, very well known in Trenton, New Jersey, because his involvement in sports, a promoter, marketing. He worked for both the minor league baseball team, did all kinds of local promotions, and then for 2 years while I was young, he was the assistant athletic director at Villanova, and was involved in promotion there. This is not hyperbole. I do not recall a moment in my young life, where we weren't at a game, going to a game, or getting ready to go to a game. Wow. That is what the Ryans did. So this whole thing started somewhere between 1946 and 1950, and in Trenton, in Dunn Field, the home field of the Trenton Giants of the Class B Interstate League. And I know that the family folklore. I went to a lot of games as a youth, a lot of games, including the night when a young center fielder from Birmingham area named Willie Howard Mays Jr. made his organized baseball debut in the uniform of the Trenton Giants. So it starts there.
Now, having told us where it started, when did it dawn on you, wait, I've been to a lot of states. It'd be pretty cool to get 50. When did that happen?
Well, it was never a quest. This is totally organic. It just happened. Somewhere around 48, I think when I got to 49, which was an Ole Miss football game, I said, wow, oh boy, 49, I got to get 50. I went like that. I got to get 50. And when I pitched the idea of if I were to do so, would the Globe be interested in a story to sports editor Matt Pepin last fall, he reacted with surprising enthusiasm to me, and we made it happen in Brookings, South Dakota, on February 1st, when the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State took on the Bison of North Dakota State.
With South Dakota being your last stop, what was the most memorable, or some of your most memorable stops along the path to 50?
A lot of it, of course, the truly great memories are major sporting events that I covered. The Duke Kentucky game, the Villanova-Georgetown game in '85, the Duke Kentucky game, which is, I think, the best college basketball game ever played.
Where Leitner basically gets to step on someone?
Yeah, where he stepped on the young Mr. Timberlake's chest, yes, he did. Or the snow game, and the Tuckwell game, memorable. That's on my highlight list. Or the best hockey game I ever saw was the Bruins in Tampa Bay, Game 7 in 2011, 1-0, and no penalties in the game. And the coach of the Lightning, Guy Boucher, said it was like 60 minutes of overtime. But beyond that, I wrote a book on minor league baseball, and I had some interesting experiences in some places in minor league baseball. The things you remember, for example, in many minor league parks, there were landmarks, that behind the field. And I got to Appleton, Wisconsin, and I was told that Boog Powell hit one in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot, which is beyond the right field fence. There's all kinds of anecdotes like that.
Bob, what were some of the biggest challenges to reaching events in 50 states?
I was in 1986, January, I was in far southwest of the state of Virginia at Oak Hill Academy, which was making its name as a basketball-oriented prep school, turning out All-Americans and so forth, and it was quite the thing. And I had a night off, and it's not that far from the Tennessee border. And East Tennessee was going to host Furman in a big Southern Conference clash. And of course I had to go, naturally, because I had never been to East Tennessee and my quest to see college gyms. So there's 2 ways to get there from where I was. You go over the mountain or around the mountain. And over is shorter. So I said, I'm going to go over the mountain. So however big it was a significant thing. So I'm up there, it's remember in January now, and all of a sudden it starts snowing. And it's a total whiteout. I am panicked. I've never been, and I pulled over and waited it out, and it just was like
just on the side of the road in your car.
Yeah, and up in this woodsy area is this mountain, So I waited out, and thank God it was just a passing squall kind of thing. But it was a total black whiteout. It's terrifying, of course. So I make my way down to the mountain. I go to, I remember Holiday Inn, throw my bags in, go to the arena, say, I'm going to buy your best seat that they had, nice seat right behind the bench. I get a triple overtime game.
Oh, perfect. Perfect timing.
After the whiteout. That's one of my favorite travel stories.
So this leads me to, how do you go to see an event in Alaska or Montana? How did you reach all of the states? You know, a Boise, Idaho game notwithstanding, what is Bob Ryan doing?
Well, Montana was minor league baseball. I was there to do a story on Tom Zimmer, who was Don Zimmer's son. This is in 1978 when Zimmer was managing the Red Sox and Tommy was managing in an independent league. That got me to Montana, the Great Falls. Okay. Then Wyoming, NBA exhibition. I had dropped in on my own on an NBA exhibition game in 1986. I had covered the NLCS in Houston. And I had like 4 days off before my next assignment, which was the NBA meetings in Scottsdale. So I took myself to Amarillo to see an NBA game, and then I went up to Laramie to see an NBA exhibition game, and that remains my one Wyoming, is Laramie, Wyoming, an exhibition game.
Wow. Like, there's so many states that I'm like, what is...
Oh, you want Alaska?
Yeah. What do you do? What are you watching? Dog racing?
Okay, no. Well, that would have been interesting. No, but here's the. I never made a big deal about my 40th, 50th, or 60th birthday, but 70 I was interested in, and I said to my wife, "Okay, Elaine, I want to wake up somewhere where we've never been, on my 70th birthday," and it just so happened that that would be Alaska because my 50th state. At that point, I had been to and slept in all 49 states. And now I needed Alaska for 50. Not thinking of, and oh, by the way, Alaska Fairbanks was home. So while I was there, I was able to go to a college basketball game at Alaska Fairbanks.
What about memorabilia? We have some here on the table, but what are some of the mementos that you have
You're
from
asking
your
me
visits?
about, the derivation of all this. And a perfect example, I have a stub from the 1957 Army-Notre Dame football game at Municipal Stadium, Philadelphia. My father had died when I was 11 in May, and my mother, who recognized that her son, she had married one sports nut and now was mothering another, and she took care of my sports needs, and she picked up these tickets for the Army Notre Dame game the following September, and we went to that game. That's the oldest set of tickets I have. One of the most interesting ones I have here, though, is from, I think, the most significant regular season game played in women's college basketball, probably ever, but certainly in the last 50 years. And that was in January of 1995 when Pat Summitt's Tennessee Vols went to Stores to play Gino Auriemma's Huskies. When they were in their ascendancy, they had yet to win a championship, and UConn beat them. That was the changing of the guard in all women's college basketball forever, was that passing of the torch. And UConn went on and they came 11-time champion. Yeah. So I have a ticket stub from that, and that's a cherished one for me.
You mentioned your mom being married to a sport nut and having to mother one. What's the life of, like, Mrs. Ryan, like wife to a sports writer, as you are doing all of these, amazing events, but you're on the road? What was that like, and how was she supportive?
Well, you'd have to speak to Elaine Ryan about that. But she knew what she was getting in for. And she was his only child. It's a very rare pairing, by the way. Think about your social circle, two only children marrying. It doesn't happen too often. But her father had introduced her. He worked at Boston College and the Treasury Department. He was a big hockey and football fan. And so she went to many BC hockey and football games. I always kid her that she knew hockey and football, and I bought basketball and baseball. I made her whole.
The missing piece.
Fully formed her, yeah. So and she enjoys it, but she's unlike me. She can take it off the shelf, enjoy it, put it back on the shelf, go back to her life. It's not engulfed by it. But the one great thing I'm so grateful for is that all those years, I never had to say, she never said, why do you have to go there? No, she understood and appreciated and went to games on her own and all that. So I married, that's rule A for a sports writer, marry the right person.
The quintessential American sports writer and always the right person on the Boston Globe Today desk, Bob Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.